Hey friends, welcome back. I'm starting school today. Had a couple soirees with grad school before, but I'm finally pursuing a master's that I'm excited to graduate with in a couple of years. So I just wanted you to get ready for my first day of classes with me and, just chit chat, catch up. It's been a while. Lots of big updates in this one. So if you're interested in hearing what I've been up to, just keep watching. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So today is my first day of graduate school. I was debating if I should mention where I'm going, but then I did a quick Google search, and if you know my last name, it comes up on the first page because I got a scholarship. So I will be going to, I am a student at the University of Wisconsin-Madison School of Information, and I'm working towards a Master's of Arts in Library and Information Science. There's a lot to talk about, so I figured I should also include my skincare in here. Lots of things have happened this year, as we will soon discuss. One of the positives is that my skin has cleared up. I've really been working hard on combating my acne. So I guess I can talk about how I got to this point, what point is this, etc. When I was in undergrad, I had a research fellowship and I studied children's literature, specifically children's literature about marginalized groups. And my academic argument was that we can use children's literature as a vehicle to teach kids about social justice movements. This was also 10 years ago. Instead of saying social justice movements, at this point I would probably say radical politics, but sign of the times. So the point of that fellowship was to get non-white people into PhD programs, specifically in the social sciences and humanities, which I studied English. But doing the research for my senior project, I was just like, this feels detached from community in a way that I don't want to be. And I now realize, like, you can be an academic that still has your pulse on the community, but I just knew I didn't want to go straight through school. So one of my friends actually had just gotten accepted to a library program, and so I studied library programs and completely fell in love with the idea of being a librarian. A lot of people don't know this, so I'm going to say it, and don't piss me off and say it again. To be a librarian in the United States, you need a master's degree. Reason being that librarians are not just people that get the books off of the shelf. Librarian is not expected to read all the books and know everything. We're trained on how do you organize information and make it accessible to people so that they can find out the answers that they want. So you gotta think, at the time, right, I'm studying children's literature and I'm thinking, okay, I can either be an English teacher, I can be a children's librarian, or I can work in children's media in some way, be it on the screen or in the text. So, kind of bounced around in my early 20s, but by my mid 20s, I decided to become a teacher, and I've documented that whole process on this channel. And I became a teacher with the expressed goal of going to library school after 5 years. So did the 5 years as a teacher, and now it's time for me to go to library school. Now, this has kind of been a goal and I live by a playground. This has, again, been a goal of mine for a while, but me being myself, a couple of things. One, I don't talk about things until they happen. So I wasn't gonna, post, here's my list of schools I'm applying to. I ended up actually only applying to UW-Madison. I was gonna apply to Rutgers and potentially the University of Illinois, but I loved UW so much that I told myself if I get in before the deadlines for those other schools, I'm not even gonna apply, and I ended up not having to. So I taught for 2.5 years. I worked in a nonprofit for about 1.5 years, and then the beginning of last school year, I went back to teaching. I was a kindergarten reading interventionist, so I was teaching kindergartners who were struggling to read, teaching them like the fundamentals of how to read. I was only there for 1 school year because God had other plans for me. My plan for myself was that I was going to teach my way through grad school. But I got to a point very early in that job where I was kind of pushed into a corner where I really had to ask myself, do I even want to be a teacher anymore? And then also I would have had to continue the certification process. And I had to really ask myself, do I want to spend thousands of dollars getting certified for a job that I don't particularly like and I know for a fact I don't want to stay in? So again, knew that I wanted to be a teacher, but decided, that job was not it. But in preparing for library school, one of the biggest things that I wanted to do was get out of debt. So right now the debt that I have is just my car and medical debt, which we'll talk about. But at the time, I also had close to $6,000 in credit card debt. And so for the past 1.5 years, maybe 2, I've been paying off credit card debt. Happy to say that is completely gone. And then also, thank God, I got a scholarship for my first year of grad school. So that's $8,000 I don't have to worry about. And also why, if you Google me, my last name will come up because I won an American Library Association scholarship, which feels good. Feels really good to know, like, okay, I've been researching children's literature since 2015 for 10 years, and 10 years in the future, I won a scholarship from the Library Association. So got myself out of credit card debt, picked my program. And as far as why being a librarian, anti-intellectualism is at an all-time high in the United States. Everywhere you look, people are being discouraged from thinking independently. Something that's interesting within the facet of library science, though, is that artificial intelligence and LLMs, I think it's large language models like ChatGPT, GPT, I always say it wrong because I don't care. They do fall within the category of like information science. But again, people by and large are being encouraged to not think for themselves. The average American has a 6th grade reading level, which if you've been here for a while, you would know that I taught 6th grade English for 2 years and then taught 7th grade for half a year and then taught kindergarten reading. All of that to say, I'm very well versed in what a 6th grade reading level is. I think actually 6th grade is kind of generous, seeing the online landscape and the political landscape. But what is abundantly clear is that Americans can't read. And I don't mean that, like, again, I'm spending tens of thousands of dollars to commit myself to this profession. So it's not like I'm saying that in jest, like, haha, people can't read. It's not just about the reading, it's that people can't read. Books are being banned. Folks are discouraged from thinking for themselves. And reading is not just about being able to pick up a book and repeat back what it says. That's actually very fundamental reading skills. By 6th grade, you're supposed to be able to compare text, which I don't think most people can do. I don't think most people can hold two ideas in their head at the same time. It's important to me that folks have access to knowledge. A library being one of the only places in this country also where you can go with the expectation of not spending any money. So libraries then serve a crucial role in that they're free. They're community centers. They give access to resources, and they also give people access to knowledge, right? I live in a city, and when I tell you the public library here has so much different programming, like at different points, like if I was off work, I could go to a different program at the library every single week, and they had amazing stuff, right? About the history of my city, they have a queer book club that meets every month. The children's offerings are phenomenal. That should be the case everywhere, right? And libraries are constantly under threat because an uneducated populace is easy to control. So having the educational background that I have, right, of having an English degree, having researched children's literature, knowing the power of children's literature, and then also the professional experience that I have now. I'm experienced with working with kids and their parents and knowing, what are the educational standards for different ages. I want to contribute to that. That's that. This isn't a job interview. I spent more time talking about why libraries more than I intended to. So in thinking about, I said I was gonna make a YouTube video about going back to school, and my husband had said he was surprised I didn't make a video about my health. I've mentioned many times that, I have stuff going on with my health. I don't really envision making videos dedicated to it because I think, for one, that's extremely personal, right? I don't even talk about applying to jobs. So for me to talk about, different health challenges that I face, I think is unwise. And if you're an employer watching this, I'm doing great. Don't worry about me. But my husband was saying that he was kind of surprised that I didn't make a YouTube video about this most recent battle that I've had, which has been with fibroids. Me being myself, because I don't have any days off, life does not give me any breaks. I'm actually less than a week post-op from having fibroids removed. I feel better now being post-op than I did having them. I'm recovering from surgery. It's the first time I've had surgery, so I don't feel great, but I'm doing okay. You see, I wasn't able to make a video at all this summer, so there's that. And just overall, I'm really happy with where my life is in terms of what I just described, right? I've wanted to go to library school and be a librarian for years, my whole 20s, and now that I'm 30, I'm finally in the position to do it. And I think had I gone straight to library school, because I got in my senior year of college, but decided not to go for financial reasons. I didn't want to still have student loan debt when I went to grad school. But had I gone straight through, I don't think that I would have had the appreciation for this profession as much as I do now, right? Like now I've taught on and off for 5 years. For the past 5 years, I've experienced the pandemic and the impact that the lack of community has had on people. I wore this combo not last month. When I tell you August was a blur, I wore this at the end of July, this shirt with this lip, and I really liked it. I've gotten to experience so much more life than I would have if I just went to grad school at 22. I'm also in a good place financially. You know, like that wouldn't have been the case before. My hair is growing back. I gotta style it, obviously, but my hair is growing back, and you know, I just feel like God wanted me to signify the changes in my life by having to grow my hair out. I am like just now over the fact that I got my hair chopped off this year. I was sick, y'all. The last video that I made actually was me doing the style that I have now. This is a twist out that I did on wet hair, and then I let it air dry overnight. So I'll see if I can put a side by side so that you can see how much my hair has grown since then. I think that was end of May, and right now it's the beginning of September. But y'all, pissed isn't even the word. It's growing back though. I think when I got it cut in March, it was like here. My hair is I'm gonna need to fix this, but it's to here now. I think before I got it cut, it was hovering around here. Even in that video, I was like trying to have a very positive, the videos that I've made since the haircut, I should say, right? Like the one where I said, hey, I got a haircut, and then I have to fix this. It's too stretched. I'm just trying to hold on to a little bit of length for what. I was very, very graceful in saying like, well, maybe it was just a miscommunication, whatever. Pissed. Because y'all know I've been growing my hair out forever. I was growing out my highlights forever, and then once my hair finally was long, because I didn't even realize when I got it cut like how long it was. Once it finally grew, I grew out those highlights. Then I had somebody chop it off. Speaking of growing out the highlights, my hair actually, I'm gonna get close so you can see. My hair is actually dyed right now. It was dyed the whole time, but last year, the last time I dyed my hair was last June. In July, I just lifted it one level and added red to it because my hair is naturally very, very ashy. There's not a whole lot of warmth. I had dyed it a 3N, and that's like the perfect color. Like you couldn't even tell that my hair was dyed from the roots. Like the roots match the ends so well. So I wanted to add some warmth to my hair, so I lifted it one level, and I don't know if you can see, but I already have roots. I don't have it in me to do the maintenance on it, so at some point, I don't know when, but at some point I'm going to dye it back to that 3N, and then I picked up a color conditioner to try and add some warmth to it. Why are there random horizontal curls on my head? Hold on. I was like, why don't I like how I look? I don't have hoops on, hold on. in summation, 2025 has been a lot of changes so far. Being 30 has been a lot of changes so far. And honestly, I'm starting to feel the positive upturn, right? Like, you know, settling into married life, starting graduate school, getting surgery. Those are all positive things. And it's hard. Each of those things independently are hard. Doing them all at the same time is harder still. But I'm finally seeing the next 5 years, you know? This conversation was very different than what I anticipated talking about, actually. Now that I had surgery, I actually have energy and I have less pain. So I'll finally get back to doing my stretch styles, because that really is my blow-dried stretch styles, because that really is my go-to. I'm gonna put it side by side so that we can see how much my hair has grown since that first haircut. Because I told myself, let me just see how it is at the end of the summer. And then I know by the end of the year we'll be cooking with grease, right? My hope is that it's September. My hope is that beginning of the year we'll be skimming. Shoulders. When the hairdresser cut my hair though, that was I said at the end of March, and I really I knew, oh, this is gonna take a year for this shit to grow back. So I've kept my expectations realistic. Also, something that I did over the summer is I started shaping my hair, because at the beginning the front was the longest part and the back was the shortest. And so what I've been doing is adding more layers in. As you can see, it's pretty round. I've been adding more layers in to balance that out, and so that it grows out even better, right? Because from here, I just have to kind of trim it to keep a shape. What it was in before, all right, y'all. I've cried. The nice thing about the twist out is that it is easy to redefine. Just gotta wet it a little bit. Do some finger coils. This is day 2. Hair. Lots and lots and lots and lots of hair. All right, y'all. You know, something quick, something easy. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll see you in my next